130 days, but we made it? Question mark? Yeah, it's a question mark. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Yeah, and it's on the weekend, too. Haha. I appear to be all by myself, but that's okay because we got a minute. We got a minute to hang out and do the chats. Howdy, gang. If you're here, let me know. It's just me. Well, I will wait until someone shows up because we're at 998 subscribers. That's a good number. Not quite enough. Just need two more. Just need two more. Oh, what a journey it has been. 130 days. Got off to a good, strong start. Back in, what'd that be, like 4 months ago, so like February. Of course, now we're buffering. But, yeah, we got off to a good start back in February, which is exciting, I guess. Ah, JJ, you are here. Welcome, JJ. It would feel wrong to not have you here for such a momentous occasion. If anybody, hello, Chandra. Chandra Das! From Giga, from the meet and greet, from the Cyber Rodeo. Good to see you, man. Greenpad is here. John Yent assures me I am not alone. Haha, love you too, man. Love you too. So, what was I going to say, man? What was I going to say? If you want to be a real Weisenheimer, you could unsubscribe and see if it shows up and then resubscribe. Oh, like that. Ah, son of a goat. And you know what? It's entirely possible that people will see this and not care for it. And that's all right, too. You don't have to like everything I do. I don't like everything I do, but that's okay. I keep my self-loathing in check. Yeah, that's my jam. Yeah, pop that right there. Haha. Who else we got? Photo Gib. Celebrate good times. Cool in the gang. Yeah, 997. I lost one. That's fun. That's fun times. What are we going to do? So I've gotten some great feedback on the videos, the two videos that came out recently. The interview. Oh, I lost another one. Moving the wrong direction. That's all right. That's all right. Wondered if that would happen. It will make the next 4 subscribers that much more exciting. John wants to know, what is the latest on the cathode factory in Texas? It is back underway. There will be a video on that. I probably will work on that tonight. It was a little disappointing to see those couple of weeks where nothing happened, but they are back in motion. And boy, is it moving quick. Those footings are going in so gosh darn fast. What else? Yeah. What else were we talking about? Oh, the 2 recent videos. So the interview with the Tesla whale, with Jose Calvino. He, wow, what a character. And there were some complaints. Well, he talked a bit long. Yeah, he did. But I felt he had things to say. And it was his first interview of this kind. So it would have, I couldn't, we can't, back up one. Couldn't expect him to perform like a professional on his first effort. And I think he did a good job. And he's hoping to do more interviews in the future. He's getting a better camera. He's getting lights, all that good stuff, as one does. Hello, Stevie Z. Welcome. I'm glad to have you here for this, what I am sure will be a momentous occasion. I did not announce this on Twitter. I was so excited that I was within 2 that I was afraid if I took more time, we'd miss it. Will Giga Seattle happen? Good ports to accept Chinese-made batteries? I'm of the opinion that it won't because the job market is too tight, the real estate is too expensive. Although the state does have some good initiatives in terms of green initiatives. 998, back to where we started. That's good. That's good. I would love to see a gig of Seattle, so I could be the drone guy. And yeah, that would be fun. But the interesting thing is, what we saw from Wuwa recently, but before that as well, is there are locations in China we didn't even know about. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that? There was he took a he usually does, and he drove past this giant warehouse with Tesla on the side. He was like, what is this? So he flew around it. Wasn't much to see. Trucks coming and going. Full loading docks on the second level with a ramp. That was interesting. Can he afford a better camera and lights? Boy, I don't know. He's only got $5 million sitting in his account in cash, so it could be tough. He might have to make some compromises. Skip the avocado toast. Post 1,000. Brian should be even better. Yeah, hope to see more of a variety of EV news in the future. Yeah, well, I do try to cover a variety of topics, but I get a lot of heat. Just that. No matter what I cover, I get a lot of heat. Will Austin Wise with the 2170 packs be structural? Ooh, that's a very good question. I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. Sorry, can't stay. Congratulations, Wendelin. Thank you for dropping by. Good to have had you here while you were able. Chandra wants to be my first super chat. I don't believe I'll be able to. It's not automatic. They have to review the account and make sure that, there are, I am sure, spammers who will create a brand new account and buy 1,000 subscribers and buy 4,000 hours of watch time and just turn it on. So it's not automatic. I think there's a review process. It might be tomorrow before I'm able to actually turn it on. Everyone give a thumbs up. Yes, Greenpad, please. Everyone give a thumbs up. When is your next Bear live chat? Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific. Every week is when we do that. And we have a fair amount of fun. Although usually it's just him showing me another reservation he has for another EV. He has a small Turo fleet that he rents out to cover his payments on everything. And I haven't really gone into the financials with him, but I assume a profit beyond that. Yeah, we got some good comments on the last two videos. The one about the silly video by, silly article by The Verge. Boy, what a terrible article that was. It was just mean-spirited, largely devoid of facts, and what facts there were just manipulated. Doomlore, nice to have you here. Yeah, the overview of The Verge was, we had to connect some dots. And that's when I feel the most rewarded is when we're connecting dots. They love to say that, well, Elon promised XYZ. And promise is a word that I thought had a meaning, but apparently it doesn't. It means whatever they want it to mean. Adam is saying, I guess I can't help but unsubscribe and resubscribe. You're welcome to do that. It does make it more entertaining. Aha. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. 999. One to go. We'll probably run a couple minutes after that just because we don't want to see it dip back down. At least not too substantially. Fun. Ba-ba-da-ba. We did it, guys. We did it. You guys did it. Yeah. John wants to know, are these silly/mean articles or clickbait? I believe they're clickbait. In the comments, there was a lot of people saying, well, they're thank you, JJ. These news outlets have a political agenda or a social agenda or they're short sellers. I don't think it's any of that. I think the simpler answer is they're looking out for clicks. They just want to drive clicks, and it's easy to do it. JJ, it is not automatic. It doesn't automatically enable super chats at 1,000. It has to be manually reviewed by a human or an algorithm or something. And I should get notification, I assume tomorrow or early this week. So the articles, I think they're just designed to drive clicks. They know that there is massive amounts of people, maybe most people, dislike Elon for whatever reason. And that's why they included the jab at SpaceX, even though SpaceX and Tesla are two different companies. Will an EV tax credit pass in the near term? Elon says he doesn't need it, but pressure from legacy auto for free cash flow is growing, or free cash is growing. And thank you for the congratulations, GreenPad. I don't believe it will. I believe there are too many members of the House and Senate who are beholden to oil interests to allow that to happen. And right now, at least, it doesn't need to happen because they're already selling as many as they can make across every brand. And demand is so high at General Motors that they've changed the price of the Bolt they increased it by negative $6,000. Oh, Mary, when will you ever stop leading? Unfortunately, YouTube clickbait videos sickness has spread to journalism. I think it's the other way around. The unfortunate truth is that good journalism doesn't pay, says JJ. Yeah. When I was in college studying writing, I had a professor who said there are two kinds of writers. Those that earn awards and those that earn a living. And while there is some overlap, it's very little. And yeah, you can get paid to write the text on a can of soup, but you're not going to win any awards, probably. You might. It's possible. It's just very unlikely. So there are, BuzzFeed used to get a lot of heat for its clickbait, and people would say, how the hell does BuzzFeed have awards? And they do. And it's because they have a news division and they have a content division. And the content division is made up of 7 different factors, and number 4 will blow your mind. It's clickbait. It's all clickbait. PhotoGib wants to know, are they making money on the Bolt? No. I'm just going to say no. No. They weren't making money on it before. We know they lost money on it in past years, and parts have gotten more expensive. There's no way that they picked up $6,000 in production savings plus, in addition to whatever they were losing before, they're losing money. Now, an interesting point that I saw on Lars's video on Best in Tesla today was that that Shanghai is already up around 1,000 a week. And so that means this year, even without significant ramping beyond now, they're going to make 25, 30,000 vehicles. That's more than a lot of companies make out of all their factories for all their EVs. This low, small beginning step is monumental compared to the competition. Lily Mae says, congratulations. Thank you, Lily Mae. I'm glad you could make it. Zoltan says, they may make money on the Bolt with ZEV credits, maybe. That's right. If they're not having to buy offset credits, they could make it up that way. Because every one they sell is probably 2 cars worth of credits they don't have to buy. Go tweet this, party. Nah. If somebody else would like to tweet it, they're welcome to. But I don't want to distract from the show. Disturb47 answered, Elon said the 2170 packs in Austin will not be structural. And that would make sense to me. Copying the 2170 design that's already in use in several factories is much easier than making a temporary 2170 structural pack. I am very curious about the specs on the 4680 version of the Model Y coming out of Texas. I expected more weight savings. I expected more range or less weight or something. I think it's being software limited. I think if you get a 4680 Model Y out of Austin, that in the coming months they will begin to uncork it, and when production is fully up to speed on the 4680s and the rest of the fleet is being switched over, then we will start to see the full power of the 4680. Made it to 1,000. I think we'll go another 15 minutes or so, or until we get to 1010. How about that? Because 1,000, boy, I could lose 5 of those as soon as I shut off the stream. Back to where we started. Can't have one of these celebrations every day, you guys. 19 viewers. Hey, man, not bad. I'll take it. I get jealous when I see brilliant new channels coming up with ideas that I didn't have and becoming successful for it. I get so jealous because I've got some good ideas, but they're some of what I do is a little bit numbers intensive, and a lot of what I do is production intensive. So unlike some of my favorite channels who just read the news, what I do is try to tell a story. I create a narrative and I follow it. So like with the Verge breakdown I did, it followed. There was a narrative underscoring the whole thing. The previous one that I'd done about Business Insider, it's all themed. And same thing with Starlink and with the robots. It takes more time to put together. If I wanted to just read the news every day, I could do that, and I'd probably be more successful. But I feel like the people who read the news do it really well, better than I could. And it wouldn't necessarily add any value to the community. And that would feel like work. That would feel like a job. Gurakar says, congratulations. Thank you so much. Photogib says that the battery is 69 kilowatts, give or take. Nice. Snarky. Snarky. Lily Mae says snarky. What is? Do you mean the Verge article? JJ says, time to make my Nicola Weekend channel. Well, I've mentioned this in other videos before, probably to JJ, but I know he's seen them. The problem is there are Nicola channels, and they just don't get much traction. And I don't know if that's a function of Nicola being less popular, because even brand new Tesla channels struggle. It's a crowded space for sure, but I think those days are gone. There was a time when if you made a Tesla channel, oh, you're successful, more or less. I started at a very bad time. I started at a time when a lot of people started, and of the people who started channels newer than me, I would say 2 have survived. Off the top of my head, 2 have survived. It's tough. It's a real tough racket, and I have the luxury of having a business that more or less runs itself, that subsidizes my costly YouTubing habit. So that's nice. Stevie Z says, the one where they sell more BEVs than hydrogen vehicles, already got that on 2 channels. They don't get traction because they ain't Brian. Oh, that's very sweet, JJ. I have made Nicola videos from time to time. Maybe not so much. I mean, I've made videos about other things outside of Tesla, and they're not always going very well. Adam Mansbridge is speaking my language. You are funnier than most of the others. Thank you. I feel like in the early days I didn't know what to do. Should I be straightforward? Should I be a joke? Should I mix the two? And it was really tough because you don't know what the audience is going to respond to, and you don't have an audience yet. You get random people. So anything you do is going to be not very well loved. So you try what you can, and anything you do, you get people unsubscribing because they thought it might be something different. But they, you find what you're good at. And if I had to do this as a never tell a joke channel, like if I was hired by someone to make the kinds of videos that I do, but without any jokes, boy, that would feel like a job. Jason says, can't wait for the next Gigafactory to track. Me too. And if you came in late, I will be putting out a video this week tracking the cathode building, but it's going very quick now that they're back in action, and that's going to be not much to track. So I'm looking forward to a whole big project. Your family cool with your costly YouTube habit? Yes, they believe in it. They believe, especially as I do, having seen the reaction from folks live at the meet and greet, where, I didn't understand, there's 10, 20 people that will regularly comment. And in my head, that was all I had for actual people who appreciated the content. When I got to Texas, mind you, that's a very self-selected group. It was eye-opening. And when they saw the videos of that, they were impressed. They were very, very surprised, as I was, by the reaction. Hello, Hockey Day. Good to see you. Yes, I will track them, as I do, week of a week. Time to celebrate by getting a Tesla? No, on the main channel, where I am monetized, I had a bit of a setback recently, which I won't go into because legally I've been advised not to. That has caused substantial, enduring, possibly permanent, intentional harm, which has knocked me down in the algorithm. And as a result, my normal, 700, 800, 900 to 1400, 1500 a month that I get from YouTube is all but gone. Last month, I made $176 on YouTube, which is why Patreon is so important. Because without it, I would, without exaggeration, completely be gone by now. I made some powerful enemies, and they determined that I should not have a channel, and they have undertaken steps to try and ensure that that would happen. And fortunately for my fans, I have enough support on Patreon that I can weather the storm, and it should begin to self-correct next month, but we shall see. It is entirely possible, likely even, that they will launch a new round of nonsense to further drain my resources, financial and time resources, and further harm the channel. So it's unfortunate, but I'm not going to name names because while people like that exist, I am not one of them. And, I want to keep it positive. Greenpad wants to know, first impressions of Giga Texas when you saw it for the first time in person. I was less impressed than I expected to be, but I've already been to Fremont, and I've already been to Giga Nevada. So I have seen the factories. Never been into one, but I've traveled to all of them. It was as big as I expected. And with how many videos of it I've watched, I had a very good understanding of the scale. But it was interesting. Robert says that I have more traction than I realize. Good job. Thank you. Disturbed says Lars thinks it's a 50 kilowatt since it's a Model 50D. Rob Maurer says based on actual measurements it's 68 kilowatts, but I think it's chipmunks on a wheel. I'm curious because of the curb weight. Somebody should drag it out and weigh it and make sure it actually weighs what they say it does. Because if it's a 50D, if it's only got 50 kilowatts, it should be a lot lighter, unless they're putting in dummy weight for no reason. Although I guess if you're just putting in dummy weight as structural element, that could make sense. Will Tesla ever come to India? Yes, but not as soon as we had hoped. Tesla had opened offices in India to explore the possibilities, and what they want to do is begin selling in advance of building a factory so they can understand the market. And the government of India said, nope, we're not going to cut the import tariffs. For example, if you import a car into Japan, the import tariff is generally 0. If you import a car into the US, it's maybe 5%. If you import it into the EU, I think it's 10, 15%. If you import a car into India, the import duty is 100%. Unless the car is over a certain amount, in which case they tack on an additional premium. So your $40,000 Tesla, if you could get one for that price, would cost about $100,000. You can't get a meaningful survey of the market if you're selling cars for 2.5 times what they're actually going to sell for. And it's costly and difficult to build out a supercharger network. And India may be overplaying their hand. And if they're not, then what they need to... And it could be that they're playing their hand perfectly because they have done market research and found that Tesla would not succeed, but they still want the factory anyway. So it's tough to say. At some point, India is likely to get a factory, but their intransigence on the import duty exemption is going to delay that possibility. Because there's no shortage of countries that want a factory, and some will be very accommodating to get one. PhotoGib, let us know what we can do. I know a guy. Yeah, it's... It would take someone who knows them personally to talk some sense into them and encourage them to begin acting in reasonable, rational ways. And I'm under the distinct impression that that is not something that is possible. And I don't know people close enough to them to ask them to honor their commitments. That's more than what I earned selling eggs and illegal goat products. I love illegal goat products. My wife enjoys goat mozzarella, which is very hard to find. Will I ever be able to tell us the story? Able to? Yes. Willing to? Probably not. Because it would create bad blood in the community, and I am not interested in doing that. Trevor Milton sends his regards. What about adding boring coverage? Not a lot of those channels. Well, I did a boring tunnel video a while back. It didn't perform very well, but I thought it was interesting. And I do have some thoughts on boring tunnels that I could go into further. I've also been to the boring tunnel in Vegas. Also, didn't get in. Did not get in. So I've seen many Tesla sites, haven't gotten in. The dude did weigh his 4,200-pound Model Y 4680 from Austin. How does that compare to the stated curb weight? Is that accurate? It must be, otherwise it'd be news. During the next recession, will Model 3 and Y drop back down in price? As soon as the supply chain is back under control and the waiting list is under 6 months, I expect to see prices drop again. Yes, absolutely. But if you've got a year-long book, you might as well get 30% margins. As a shareholder, I'm delighted. As a potential Tesla buyer, not super jazzed. Maybe India will get a Arcimoto factory. You know, Arcimoto, boy, especially the Mean Lean Machine, might be a good fit for India. Although the roads are pretty rough, so it's tough to say. A traditional Arcimoto might do better. Mark Frohnmeyer, the CEO of Arcimoto, has told me that they expect to have, at some point, factories on every continent, except Antarctica. Lack of commitment. Late to the game. Hello, Michael. I'm playing on 2x speed to catch up. Electrified posted a video based on insider info about the 4680. Main takeaway sounds like software limited charging, not range. I watched that video too. It was sent to me by a friend, and I hadn't seen it yet. I was just getting started for the day when he sent it to me, and it was very interesting. I hope he vets his insiders. I assume he does. But the claims made seem reasonable. But it's also possible that an insider would not necessarily know if the range is corked or not. That could be something that only a handful of people actually know. So it's tough to say. The guy did a weighing. It was 144 pounds as the normal standard range two-wheel drive. I don't know how that compares. Prices won't come down until demand slows or commodity prices come down, or both. I think both. Where do you think the next Gigafactory will be, and when will it be announced? Elon has suggested that the announcement could come later this year. It may not. I've done a couple of videos on mathematically assessing the differences between the different candidate countries, and I included pretty much everyone that everyone asked about, plus a bunch of others. And mathematically, I came up with Canada or Japan, both of which surprised me. But they both have a depth of engineering talent, a wealth of manufacturing experience, solid car industries, solid domestic markets. There's a lot of reasons both of those make sense. And a lot of people say, well, Japan only buys local brands. Yes, but if this was built there, it might rub off a bit as a local brand, especially if, when the Model Q comes out, there are regional variants. I think the Model Q will be a single platform that has a completely different top on it. It'll be, from the hips down, it'll be the same car. And from the top up, we might see a fast hatch for Europe, a small 4-seat commuter for China. And if Japan's got its own variant, it could sell. And the nice thing there is, it would mean that those cars could still be exported and sold in other markets as premium. Because a really fast little, a unique car that's still a Tesla, that still works and performs exactly like one, that's just a bit more expensive than it would be in its domestic market, boy, there'd be a demand. There's people who would buy one of every Tesla. Still at 1,000. Well, great. We'll go a little longer. I don't see why not. We got some folks hanging out. Regular FUV would be good in Southeast Asia. I agree. And the regular FUV from Arcimoto is still getting better. And even if it was only getting a little bit better, battery tech is getting better with it. I'm almost ready to start flipping Teslas. Used cars are selling for more than new ones. GM is no longer requiring degree from employees, just relevant experience or skills. Do you think they're having trouble recruiting? I wouldn't want to work there. I did not know that, John. That is a very good point. Sandy Monroe doesn't require a degree, and he has, I would argue, higher standards than GM. I think it's a smart move. I think it expands the pool ever so slightly, but I would agree that GM is probably having trouble with recruiting, because I also wouldn't want to work there. Am I the only person who'd like to see a Model 3 line at Austin? A lot of people don't need or want a Model Y. By the way, is the 3 using gigacastings? So there was a picture I saw today from the Model 3 line in China, and it is still not using a front gigacasting. It may be that photo is out of date, but I don't believe they're using it yet, which is surprising to me. Can they build Model 3s in Texas? The answer is a resounding yes, because in Shanghai, maybe 6 months ago, we heard that they had built some Model 3s on the Model Y line. So the lines are sufficiently similar that a single Model Y line could build Model 3s. You could switch between them, or they could have 2 lines for Y and one of them switches over sometimes. John says Canada is very unionized. That's not a downside. I don't think that was even one of the considerations. Germany is also very unionized, and they chose to build there, which surprised me. I thought they would have gone over the border into Poland or into one of the other former Eastern Bloc countries where wages are substantially lower. But the wages aren't the most meaningful component of the price of a Tesla. Goat mozzarella. I make it 2-3 times a week. Well, you'll have to email me your website so I can order some. If Thailand gets a plant, India wouldn't. And it looks like Thailand has moved to the top of the list per Elon's tweet, and he's cooled on India unless Elon is playing poker. Both of those are likely. Thailand does have manufacturing experience. I know when Toyota wanted to go into, Thailand wanted Toyota to make cars. And Toyota said, I don't think there's enough demand. And Thailand said, I tell you what if we make it the law that every taxi has to be a Toyota? And so they had enough guaranteed sales to justify building a plant. And a common thing in Asia is to take the decommissioned equipment from the previous model of Corolla or whatever and just move it. So when I was in China, the taxis were Nissan Sentras of the previous version. And they just boxed up the factory, shipped it over, turned it on. Very cheap. Very cheap. Only 2 mobile platforms survived. Oh, isn't Elon supposed to build a house on the Giga Texas grounds? I haven't heard that. Only 2 mobile platforms survived, iPhone and Android. If AVs are the same, which company will survive alongside Tesla? So we're looking for who's going to run the software. Ooh, that's a good one. My guess would be, as of today, Google. But that could become anyone else sometime soon. It could also be a third-party provider. It could also be Bosch or someone like that. Boy, they would have to invest hard and fast. What's the future of Tesla in Russia after the war? Dim. It is dim. The damage being caused by Russia to their own economy is going to be enduring. IBM has cut their entire workforce. Many companies have entirely exited Russia. And that's not to say they won't ever go back. It's to say they won't be back immediately, and when they do return, they're likely to do so in more cautious numbers. So the economy there is not as good as it was. On the plus side, there's a bunch of brilliant engineers out of work, but is there a reason why all the variants, specifically Model 3, are not transitioning to front and rear castings? And on the S and X, it's because I think they're low volume. But on the 3, why doesn't it have a front Giga casting? I don't know. John says, Sandy talked to Elon about the Model 3, and Elon said, it's hard to change the wheels on the bus when it's going 60 miles an hour. And that's true. That's true. Aw, Lily, can't sell me mozzarella. All right, I see how it is. That's all right. I have magnificent coping skills. Germany has a tradition of good workmanship. I wonder if they still do. I haven't heard about any measurements on panel gaps from the Berlin Model Ys. That's a good question. Maybe another boxable folding house. I can believe he would. So in Boca Chica, Elon has a little boxable folding house. You could call it a mobile home if you want, or a trailer. It's a little more upscale than that. That would make sense. I think building a house on site might give the wrong impression to shareholders. Elon seemed open to doing stuff with Zelensky, talked about space launches even. So Ukraine has the Cosmodrome, doesn't it? I thought maybe it did. Ukraine has a lot of Russia's, of former Soviet technology and infrastructure in place. But Ukraine, Giga Ukraine, I think it would be too risky to consider this year or next. In the future, who knows? Brian, would you really pass up a chance to work with Mary the Great? Work with her or work for her? I would pass up a chance to work at GM. It would have to be the right opportunity. And since I haven't applied, I don't see that being offered. But if they came to me and said, wow, love your channel, make a My Chevy Bolt weekend and we'll pay you an unconscionable amount of money, I would do it. I would do it. Because my bank doesn't appreciate me paying the mortgage with likes. But to work with Mary directly, I would do that in a heartbeat. Because I believe I could influence positive change or recognize within a month that it's impossible and leave. Jason says, I'm expecting Volkswagen to adopt the new Apple CarPlay. Their software stinks. VWs, we have seen, what do we do there? We have seen that Herbert Diess is very frustrated with the software approach that Volkswagen is currently using. And that would be, they might need to go outside of the house to make it. Because basic software is very easy. And you can whip something up that looks good and does part of the job well in an afternoon, and then spend the next 10 years trying to actually get it to work the way it's supposed to. You see that with startups where one guy will create some new software and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And then they hire a team of 100 developers and 6 years later, it's barely moved forward at all. It's because it's complicated. It's complicated stuff. John says, Russia makes a lot of pollution. They really need to get electrified for the sake of the world. It's a short-term approach. Oil's easy. It's very easy. Transitioning away from oil is very hard. Will Tesla release a smartphone? No. No, they will not. The Austin Model Y all-wheel drive standard weighs 355 less at the Fremont model, less than the Fremont all-wheel drive long range. So, help me understand. 355 pounds is a lot, but we're talking standard versus long range, so I would kind of expect that. Greenpad wants to know why Starship hasn't flown yet. We are expecting FAA approval for the flight tomorrow. Tomorrow? The 13th? Is tomorrow the 13th? The permit to fly has been repeatedly delayed. With 1,000 subscribers, is my channel monetized? Rachel wants to know. Not yet. It is eligible. I assume there will be a review perhaps tomorrow, and that at that point it will, I assume, become monetized. Who was subscriber 1,000? I don't have access to that information from here. I don't think. And if it's someone who doesn't show their subscribers on their page, it wouldn't show me. Adam says, maybe it was him. Yeah, maybe. It happened just as I unsubbed and resubbed. So Adam would be my 400th, 998th, and 1,000th subscriber at 3 different times. Hey, Uncle Rumple, good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Jamie wants to know how important, with so many going after Elon and Tesla with BS hit jobs for Elon, to have a PR department. I'm going to say important. I believe Tesla absolutely needs a PR department. They have one in China. We saw they were trying to hire one in Europe. Why not have one here, man? Why not have one here? If Elon spoke German or Chinese, maybe he would just spend all day tweeting in those languages as well. But when a very dumb lie comes up, having a rapid response team to address it is more valuable than waiting for me and Dave Lee and Dylan and Lars to do our research ourselves and respond. The news media doesn't watch our videos to get the facts. They should, but they don't. John wants to know, have I considered getting a job on the production line, at least for a few months, to see the inside? Would they make you sign an NDA? I don't know about an NDA, but I have not considered it because geographically it would be quite an issue, even if I got hired. So, no, I have not considered that. I mean, I'm sure it's crossed my mind a time or two, but no. Michael says, since Wall Street consensus on Tesla futures are nowhere near as accurate as the Tesla YouTubers, myself, Rob Maurer, etc., do you think they would pay someone like yourself for models? Someone like myself, yes. Rob used to work for The Street. He might still be a contributor there, and he is there to provide exactly that. Better insight than they already have for probably less money. Max says, thank Gort. And that confused me because Gort is one of my patrons and someone I met in Texas. He's a clever robot. Will Apple launch a car, or is it also a rumor? So it's not a rumor, but that doesn't mean they'll launch it. They've been working on it for years, and the head of their division recently left, which tells me that it is not moving ahead in the way that they would hope. And I saw an interesting one. Someone said, oh, should they, maybe, this was on the podcast with Bear, maybe Apple will buy Lucid. And what Bear or someone else pointed out was that Lucid doesn't have the caliber of manufacturing prowess they need to actually make it work. They're a few steps ahead of Apple, but not enough steps. What Apple needs to do, and it's been rumored before, is partner with someone like Kia or Hyundai or any Honda, somebody who can actually build a car and work with Apple to design it. That rumor about Elon building a house is because of that 600 acres he bought on the south side of the Colorado River. He's requested a zoning change to mixed use from industrial, per Joe Tetmeyer. I did not know about the request for zoning change. I know they've got a permit submitted to build a warehouse over there. Not very big, maybe less than 1 million square feet. Do you think Elon considers me, Rob, Lars, etc. their PR department? So I am entirely confident Elon does not know who I am. But yes, he considers YouTubers his PR department. There are a lot of us who are more knowledgeable than an average PR rep would be. So I believe that would absolutely, if all of us didn't do what we do, they would have a PR department. And I guess the compensation is, we get paid from our fans, and we get access to events that others don't. And that's in part why I'm convinced that Elon doesn't know who I am. Me and Dr. Know-It-All are the only YouTubers I'm aware of that didn't manage to get into cyber rodeo, which was disappointing because of the amount of time I spent covering the construction and the detail to which I went into to cover it. And they sent out flyers to folks in the area. The host of our Airbnb, we chatted with her before we left, and she said, I got a flyer saying the grand opening is coming and you'll all be invited. And then none of them got invited. They're on a group chat on Facebook, and they asked around, did you get one? Did anybody? Nobody got one. Nobody got one. So the locals ended up less invited than we had thought they would be. And I'm sure I will get back there. I've got a contact who assures me that it is going to be his job in the future to conduct tours of Giga Texas. But that's not the same as getting into the event. Paul, welcome. You're not late. You can see it was only not that long ago that we actually hit 1,000. And that is where we have stalled. I'm still running because questions keep coming in, and I'm concerned that as soon as the stream ends, regulars of the channel will pop in, see this video, and say, what a circle jerk. I'm out. And then I'm back below 1,000. Why do you think Tesla doesn't build apartment buildings near Giga Texas so they can have places for employees to stay? I thought about that in other factories, and the answer is it turns it into a company town. Google doesn't, they would be wise to put up apartments on their campus, but it turns it into a company town, and that has a bad impression on society. Is your job tied to your employment, to your housing? If you get fired, do they tell you to pack up your desk and your house? It's a little hairy. So Austin rents have apparently increased, and property prices have increased, but they're still nowhere close to what they are in other big cities. I saw someone whining on Twitter that, when Elon said, we're inviting anyone with a high school diploma to apply for work at Giga Texas to be a line worker, and the pay was, I don't remember, $26 an hour or something like that. And somebody said, oh yeah, like you can live on that. It's like, well, that's, 50 grand in a city where you can absolutely get an apartment for under 1,000. Yes, that is gainful employment. For an entry-level job, for an 18-year-old who just finished high school. That's the American dream of the 50s. And you get a stock grant when you start, 20 grand, 40 grand, that vests over a few years. There are people who did this with Tesla in Fremont who worked on the line and now have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Uncle Rumpel says, next time you head for Austin, I'd like to go with you or meet you there. Where are you located? I am sure Elon will know you sooner than later. Brilliance and consistency tend to always rise to the top. It's very hard to get Elon's attention. I am seldom retweeted by big names. My channel doesn't get much exposure in the YouTube algorithm. I don't know how he would find out that I exist. And again, reasonably confident that he doesn't know I exist as of now. And on Twitter you get people going, oh, wow, I see you simping for Elon. What, do you think he's going to give you some money or show you some love? No, I don't. And he doesn't have to give me money. He made a company that I could see was going to be successful, and I bought stock. So, Jeff Roberts never got an invitation. He had to go as a +1 of Joe. I believe Jeff did get an invitation because he was able to bring his son as his +1. So Joe was the first one to get one of the guys there. I didn't talk with the other Quad Squad members afterwards to determine whether or not they got in. I know a lot of YouTubers got in on tickets that were given out to others in the area. So a lot of plus ones were in there. Hey Matt, good to see you. Oh, you're in Tulsa. That's pretty far. Let's see. Uncle Rumple is in Tulsa. The If I'm buffering, that's Starlink for you. Yeah, there were a lot of YouTube celebrities who got in as plus ones or on batches of tickets that were distributed via methods I'm unaware of. I had tweeted at Elon saying, could I get a handful of tickets, maybe 5, to give out at the meet and greet, maybe as a charity raffle, and did not hear back. So the event, I don't believe the event ever reached capacity. It did not appear to have reached capacity. Yeah, so it was very interesting. And there were a number of people I knew who had tickets, and I did not ask them to make me their plus one. Maybe I should have been more aggressive with that. But I feel like if they were, I made it known that I didn't have a ticket. John says Warren was a plus one. Yeah. Yeah, he was as I recall, a plus one of somebody at TeslaCon in the Tesla Owners Club of Austin who had brought him, but I could be mistaken. I believe Jordan Giesecke may have also been a plus one. I don't have as high a profile as Warren or Jordan or I am. Of the non-drone channels, I am the smallest survivor by a substantial margin. But hopefully that will change. All right. Well, we're heading up on an hour. I feel like I'm not sponsored by, but I should give a ringing endorsement for Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew. It doesn't taste like Cheetos, thankfully, but it tastes like normal Mountain Dew, except it burns. So if you're thirsty and don't have discomfort in your throat, try Mountain Dew with Flamin' Hot Cheeto flavor. Connection looks good. Still at 1,000. I think we'll wind it down here. I'm going to double check the chat. Yeah. Oh, why? Why? Oh, why? Oh. Mountain Dew, and then it burns. Elon being the extent of Tesla's PR department is something that really needs to change sooner rather than later. Agree 100%. Agree 100%. Do you want to talk about the new Starlink satellites that have the lasers? I heard they were going to turn them on soon. As I understand, they started putting lasers up quite a while ago, but they have to reach a degree of saturation that they're all adjacent. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. I don't have insight into that. That's something I will follow up on. Yeah. Digital Blake Canada says, it's okay. We had some great coverage of the event, but not so much live. I covered it live from outside, and it was fun. It was a really neat atmosphere. There were so many really awesome people there. It was a lot of fun. Paul H says, frickin' lasers. Yeah. Ufologist says they need a Starship first, mate. If you mean for the lasers, no, I believe version 1.5 has lasers. That's how they are able to have limited coverage over the poles where there are no ground stations. It ain't easy being cheesy. Yeah. Is it very citrus tasting? It tastes honestly like normal Mountain Dew with cayenne pepper in it. That's what it tastes like. It's not bad. It was they were getting rid of them, so it was $2 per 12 pack, and my kids had to have it. And I was like, $2? Absolutely. I'll try that. I don't know, man. Not ideal. Not ideal. Well, we got to 1,000. Hopefully that sticks. Hopefully that's still there in the morning. I do want to thank everyone for hanging out. Ufologist says Starlink is 2 is 7 meters wide. It will be able to get Starship going to launch the. Yeah, it'll be a while to get Starship going to launch those. Yeah. Don't sell yourself short. Your videos are better than Warren's. Well, thank you. They're different. They're different. I enjoy Warren's videos. I enjoy Warren's merch. I think he's got some really clever merch, and I'm jealous of that. I've got some ideas on merch, but yeah. Reddit said the lasers haven't reached orbit. I did not know that. I thought the lasers are on satellite version 1. The original ones that went up didn't have the lasers yet. Brian, which Tesla model do you like best? That would be the Model Y. Probably the 7-seater, but I've never been able to see one in person, so I don't know. For the size of my family, the X would be the best fit. If it was just me, probably the 3. Ellie in Space might possibly have some insight regarding the lasers. Neat. I did get to meet Ellie at the meet and greet in Texas. However, briefly, because I was very busy. Oh. They're coming to get me. Since the first launch is done, it'll start launching pretty fast. Yes, MD Hofsty is saying that once the first Starship is validated, the launch cadence will pick up, and that is absolutely true. John asks, do I have a cat? Nope, I have 3 dogs. Digital Blade says, I subscribed with my spare account, but Social Blade didn't pick it up. Give it a second. So I'm guessing there's a delay. It says it updates every second, but who knows? Time to unsubscribe and then subscribe tomorrow. Oh, wait until it gets well past 1,000 to do that. Indeed, assuming Starship re-enters the atmosphere, the launch rate can become like Falcon 9 within a year or 2. Yes. And that's... you need to be careful with that, because if you're going to wait for a couple years before you can reliably launch them in massive volumes, you don't want to have thousands of them sitting around in a warehouse. You won't take me alive, copper. Thank you, Jamie. That was a good one. Joe said specifically Jeff was his +1, unless things changed at the last minute. Sarah J. Awesome got in because she met a Tesla employee and his girlfriend at a charging station, and he gave her one. Cool. I do believe things may have changed at the last minute, because I know the plan early on was that Jeff was going to be Joe's +1, but Jeff was able to bring his son. So I'm not sure, unless that was part of the +1, but I don't know. Yeah, doesn't really matter now. So I think that's enough for today. Thank you guys for hanging out. Yeah, I'd say what did I miss or misunderstand, but ain't nobody likely to watch this on the replay. So let's just wind it down. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate you. Let's see if this 1,000 sticks. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Yeah, soon.